Okay, thank you, brothers and sisters. Please do come forward, join other tables, join forces, because entrepreneurship is, I'm sure, about teamwork as well, you know, and finding good people to work with. I'm just listening. Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Assalamu alaikum, everybody. So before we start, I'm going to ask a little request. I've already asked one request, but I've asked some of you to stand up and move forward to a table, unlike the other party who may have made a better choice than us. Let's be honest. They may have gone to the better workshop. Inshallah not. This is the best workshop. But for those who haven't benefited from the aerobic experience of standing up after a full course of biryani, let's face it, I mean, it's a tough gig for a lunch and a sort of post-lunch session for a workshop. Can I ask everybody, just to where you are, just stand up on your feet and take one deep breath in, 7-11 breathing if you can do it, 7 seconds through your nose, and 11 out your mouth. Bismillah, very good. Hopefully that will oxygenate your minds for this session. So you may take a seat. Thank you very much. Jazakallah khair. So my name is Hassan Ahmed. I've been asked, almost slightly unfairly, I should add, where's Zara, to moderate this session on the future of entrepreneurship. As somebody who is probably the most un-entrepreneurial person that I know, and most of my friends know, it's bewildering, but I think you and I will be kindred spirits for those who are probably wondering why we're still sat here. But maybe there's something within you all that you want to solicit the entrepreneur within. So I'm joined with 3 wonderful guests, mashallah, from our community who will help inspire you for that. So what we're going to do, and yes, I've been told, are the doors locked? Can you please lock the doors? The format of this is going to be Dragon's Den style, folks. So Dragon's Den style, which is why I asked you to join forces onto tables in the front. So together you're going to come up with amazing ideas. But before that, we're going to have to get to know our dragons in a bit more detail. So alhamdulillah, I am joined by 3 fantastic entrepreneurs from our community. Sister Farzana Rahman, who is the founder and creator of the Desi Dole company. Achu, alhamdulillah. Sorry, I had to get that in, couldn't resist. And we have also Brother Inzar Haq from Insight Consultancy. And last but not least, we have Brother Bobby Rahman from Studio Vega Mist Consultancy, who's also a freelancer for the BBC. Hands up who's heard of the BBC. No hands. Okay, I didn't think so. Right. So without further ado, I'm going to just start this session with just a few sort of questions for our kind dragons, just so that we can get to know them a little bit more, a bit about their backstories. So I will ask, inshallah, starting with Sister Farzana, if I may ask, just in 1 or 2 minutes to briefly introduce yourself, Desi Dole Company, and I will ask an important question, which I'd like each panel member, each dragon to answer, that in your journey in entrepreneurship, what was the biggest obstacle to achieving success, and how were you able to overcome it? So, Sister Farzana, please.
Assalamu alaikum, everybody. So, as our brother Hassan has Introduce me, I'm Farzana Rahman. I'm the founder and director of the Desi Doll Company. I founded the business 15 years ago, and essentially I saw a gap in the market, you could say, although at the time it was a gap in my family's needs. My children were young. I was trying to nurture love for Islam in them, and I strongly believe that children learn best through play. So why not let them learn about Islam through play? And after searching, I couldn't find any Islamic toys on the market. I was working for an investment bank at the time, but I felt so passionately about having Islamic toys that I left my full-time business, full-time work, I should say, for an investment bank, and I started my own business. I started designing Islamic toys, and that was 15 years ago. Fast forward 15 years, I now have a range of over 50 toys that are selling up and down the UK in every Islamic bookstore you can imagine, as well as internationally, and also you'll find out Islamic toys on the shelves of Selfridges in London, Manchester, and Birmingham, and also online. And alhamdulillah, really big win for us, for our community as well, not just for myself as a business.
And could I ask, in terms of the biggest obstacle you faced in trying to grow and develop your business, Desi Doll Company, what did you find it was, and how did you overcome it?
I think there were so many obstacles, obviously, when you're starting a business. I'm not from a business background, I don't have a design background, and so I think acknowledging myself as a creator, as a businesswoman, as a business person, having a successful business, that was the biggest hurdle. So I guess what we now know as imposter syndrome. I really struggled to take myself seriously, despite having designed toy after toy after toy, and seeing the success and the demand for those toys, not just within the UK, but globally. It took me a long time to acknowledge myself as a successful businesswoman, and I think it's just a mindset, really. And that took me a long time to really overcome and have that confidence to finally string together the few words that was, my name is Farzana Rahman and I am an Islamic toy designer. It took me a very, very long time to kind of accept that and to take my business seriously, and to have that mindset shift from it being a lifestyle business to actually a viable, profiting business. Yeah.
Fantastic. Jazakallah, thank you for sharing that. There'll be one more question as well afterwards. We'll come back to Brother Inzar. Kindly introduce yourself and your business, and also what you found was the biggest obstacle to achieving success in your area of work, inshallah. Please.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Thank you for having me, first of all. My name is Inzar Haq. I run a business in the Midlands called Insight Consultancy. So we are a digital design agency that helps small businesses grow online effectively. So we look at everything from building a web presence all the way through to digital marketing, paid advertising, and everything in between, really. So the way I describe ourselves is just your outsourced business partner to help your business grow online. So we started about 12 years ago, and I started the business with my wife, and it started from not coming from a technical background, and how difficult it was to navigate through all the tech jargon that people would throw at us when we were inquiring about how we could make our business more sort of visible online. So that's how it started, and alhamdulillah, sort of fast forwarding now, we have a small team of designers, developers, and our journey still continues. There's one more point I'd like to add, that it's quite, if it was for me to tell you what I would like to achieve moving forward, I guess it's the idea of how important tech literacy is within our community. So that includes the mosques, that includes our cultural centers, our children, how it is important to sort of safeguard our children from what is online, and to be able to understand that from that point of view. So that's where we see ourselves going forward. The biggest hurdle, I think, was, as I mentioned earlier, I'm not from a technical background. And I think the pace of change in the tech industry, even now, sort of 12 years on, there's always something new there's always something happening, and just keeping up with that is difficult. I'm fortunate to have a relatively young team in their 20s, who could kind of keep me abreast of things, and my kids, of course, who kind of, in terms of if it was consultancy, I'd go to my children and say, look, what does this mean? TikTok, like when did that happen? But alhamdulillah, that's where we are, and so that probably was the biggest challenge that I faced.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Brother Insa. And last but not least, Bobby, would you like to introduce yourself? And similarly, what's been the biggest challenge to you facing your line of work, and how did you overcome it?
Assalamu alaikum, everybody. I'm a producer director for the BBC, specifically BBC Sports, so doing Match of the Day, the Olympics coming up, and the European Championships. I've got a production company and a marketing agency called Studio Vega Mist, which I started 12 years ago, and a travel agency, which I started during COVID. Why not add some extra busyness to the schedule? The reason why I wanted to start it was I was always quite creative and wanted to create something a bit different than the norm. I didn't want to go down stereotypes, wanted to do something a bit different, and hopefully maybe if it impresses one person to go and do something that they wanted to do, and grind. I think that was essentially why I started those, especially Studio Vega Mist, and then the actual domino effect going on to television, and then the travel agency. It just sort of happened. Obstacles, I think initially it's financials and getting it all sorted, and then sort of getting trust and building a word of mouth business. I think still the best way of getting business and networking events like this, where you can meet with wonderful people who have got similar journeys depending on what industry they're in, and it's quite nice to collaborate. Like I've been in the expo hall today talking to lots of people, and it's been really nice talking and seeing everyone at a different point in their business journey. I would say the obstacle would probably be the financial and getting a network out there.
Fantastic, fair enough. Well, we've got a few minutes before, 1 or 2 minutes before we open the floor up and begin imagining some great business ideas. Before we do, just one very final question, and maybe a brief answer from each of you, starting with Sister Farzana. Amidst the obstacles you may find in starting a business and entrepreneurship, and Bobby mentioned sort of financials, and you mentioned sort of believing yourself, and Brother Inzar maybe keeping up with the pace of change, particularly in tech. I think, what do you think is the reason why so many people may give up on that journey? And what is it that from yourself you were able to do differently to keep going in the face of the fear of giving up?
No doubt when you're venturing out on something new, you have a lot of hurdles to overcome. But I think, you have to have passion. You have to have passion. You have to be able to overcome those hurdles. You have to be resilient to the falls and literally just pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and keep going forward. I think resilience is absolute key when you're starting off on your own. You'll have that entrepreneurial spirit already. For me personally, I was very passionate about teaching my children about Islam. That was my purpose in life, you could say, and not just to teach them, but to nurture love for Islam and make sure that was ingrained in them from the youngest of ages. So that was driving me, that was my fire in my belly. So I knew what path I was going to be headed on. And also for me, it was very much a self-fulfillment journey. As they were learning, I was also learning, whether it's du'as, surahs, tafsir, all of these aspects of Islam that we want to impart with our children, all of that I was also learning. So for me, I was driven by the passion of wanting to learn more about Islam. So I think if you have, that passion and you have that resilience, I think those are the two things you need to make sure you don't fail in what you're doing.
Brilliant. Passion and resilience, very, very important. Brother Inzar, what do you think?
Yeah, I think I completely agree with Sister Farzana. What I would like to add to that is perhaps not having the fear of failure. So failing forward, perhaps, if you like. Just trying to, if if you look at larger companies, they've, the CEOs, the founders, they've had lots of failures previous, and that hasn't held them back. So in order to sort of, as Sister Fazana said, dust yourself off, get on with it, don't fear failure, and if it does happen, embrace it, learn from it, and move on.
Brilliant. And Bobby, what will keep people going in the face of the fear of giving up or the prospect?
Well, I'd like to echo pretty much. I think there's not many answers really for this. Just keeping going, and then unfortunately I know some people get scared of that sort of, constant failure or even complete failure, but then restarting, learning from mistakes. It sounds like a cliche, but it's true. I mean, you just have to have, well, maybe be a bit of a weirdo like myself, but it's just having a bit of more of a, that competitive nature, or a healthy one, and then, trying to get little goals. And then I think for me anyway, is very much setting goals. Sounds soppy, but it's kind of like what helped with the bigger goals, because then you look from where you were when you started, you've gained so much more experience. Absolutely. Within that.
And to use a hiker's analogy, setting mini targets when you're on the way to the summit, but I guess I'm hearing that the journey is as important as reaching the actual summit, particularly in this endeavor, like many others in life. So, Jazakallah khair, thank you so much to our panelists, our dragons now. And now I'll ask you to adorn the mode and personas of the Deborah Meadens and the Duncan Bannatynes and the James Kahns back in the day. I don't think these people are still on the show anymore.
Peter Jones.
Peter Jones, there you go. So now it's over to us. So what are we going to do? We've got, I think, just under half an hour. In this time, brothers and sisters, what I'd like to ask you to do in your respective tables, and please, if you're sitting on a bit of a thin table, sparsely filled table by yourself, please just join a neighboring table. Hopefully they will welcome you with open arms, inshallah, to your business tables. And in the next 15 minutes, you should all have, and hands up if you don't have, hopefully one of our event team will help you out with some flip chart paper and a marker. And that's where all good business ideas start. I hear napkins a lot. It seems like every good business idea started on a napkin. There must be like maybe napkin industry is something we need to invest in, because that's where it generates all the business ideas, get royalties from it, who knows. So you should all have a flip chart paper and a marker on your table. If you don't, please raise your hands. And for the next 15 minutes, folks, just get to know your business partners. I'm sure in business, knowing your business partners and being able to work well with your business partner is important. So for the next 15 minutes, they are your business partners. Please be inclusive. Be inclusive to their ideas. Not everybody is an extrovert. I'm not an extrovert, believe it or not. I'm a complete introvert. I don't know what I'm doing here. It's all your fault. So please just solicit ideas. Try and come up with as many ideas as you can. And what's the brief? It's coming up with the next big business idea for community change. So we've heard some great ideas already. Muslim hikers, Nia, World Hijab Day. We also heard, I think Brother Kamran mentioned about an alternative to sort of the alternative to genocide, Cola, in support of Gaza. So please think away ideas which can be positive for community change. And some other factors to consider you have, it must be unique, it must make money. Now, whether you want to use that money to line the pockets of your shareholders or plow back into business, it has to be sustainable, and it needs to make a change. And you have £50,000 seed funding to play with. So for the next 15 minutes, folks, that is 3:31 by my time. So at 3:46-ish, hopefully we'll have time, we will come back to you. And please appoint one person as a scribe, and then one person will be reporting back to us, and our dragons will happily evaluate the best proposals and may lend a helping hand in the meantime. So over to you folks, inshallah. Bismillah. The best business idea to make community change. 50 grand. Go. Bismillah.